Welcome to another episode of our podcast series, Explore All the Options. I'm Cara Jenkin, and today we're talking about finding success in non-traditional places, diving into inspiring career stories from those who've taken a bold step into roles not traditionally associated with their gender. For example, there's only about 3% of construction apprentices who are women and about 3% of early childhood educators who are male. So the gender divide in these industries is still real, but the tides are shifting, and we're going to find out how and why it matters. We'll hear personal stories, explore barriers and solutions, and hear how families and educators can help young people expand their idea of what's possible. We have two vet ambassadors joining us today, Almira, Dall and Lachlan, Carey, as well as an industry expert, Melinda Davis from Empowered Women in Trades. So Melinda, can you tell us a bit about why industries are so dominated by one gender?
Cara, that's a really interesting question, and we could go many different ways with that. But for the crux of what I've seen across my career in supporting people through careers, it's very much we're missing the early education piece. We very much start addressing careers in that sort of year 10 mark, and a lot of our interpretations and a lot of what we already know about careers has already been set in our mindset by then. So for us at Empowered Women in Trades, and when we look at other gendered industries, it's very much about creating that education, really stripping back that jobs themselves don't have genders. It's actually humans that have created that preconception. So early education, exposure, getting to try different things and really starting to break down what someone in that industry looks like and more focusing on what skills does a person who works in that industry needs is what we look at doing in our programs for trades, but that can also be applied to other gendered industries as well.
So what are the key benefits of having a more gender diverse workforce in industries such as construction and education and health and IT and things like that?
Absolutely. When you have a gendered workforce, it creates productivity. It's definitely more job satisfaction. It allows us to grow as people and as humans because we're learning from different people. We're looking at different ways of thinking about things. If we continuously just hire the same kind of people, we're not using that diverse thought process. We're not gaining different exposure, different experiences. So bringing in a diverse workforce, there's actually studies that show that people are more satisfied at work, they're happier at work, and it's a great connection to well-being as well, which is really important.
What are some of the ways that we can sort of encourage people to consider all their options? Are there any sort of particular strategies or initiatives that you've seen that have worked quite well?
Yeah, there's a lot of different programs at the moment. And for us, Empowered Women in Trades, it's really about opportunity and experience. So I'm going to use manufacturing as an example, Cara. We are doing some immersive experiences in manufacturing because manufacturing is an industry that's very closed off. You would drive past places, but you may not be able to see what actually happens behind those doors. And if you don't know what's happening in there, how do you possibly know what career prospects are for you? So we've been doing a series of programs that's essentially about breaking down the walls of that Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and going in and actually being able to, what does it feel like? What does it sound like? What does it smell like? Is there a particular, vibe to it? Do people here look comfortable and happy? Because once we know and we feel that way, we can map out a career pathway. But we can't necessarily map out a career pathway if you don't know what you're looking for. Particularly for women, when we know that 60% of women won't apply for a role unless they feel that they can do almost everything on there. And you can't do that unless you know what it is that's actually out there. So breaking down those walls, opening up opportunity inside a classroom, outside a classroom, even with TAFE, and encouraging people back to vocational education and training, even just breaking down those myths that's for young people, that TAFE and RTOs and VET is for everybody. Everybody has a place there and everybody can come and actually learn new things.
So dairy farmer Almira Dall, did you have any experience working in the agriculture industry before you decided to choose that as your career?
So I started working on a dairy farm pretty much the week of my graduation from high school. Prior to that, I'd studied agriculture at high school throughout the entire time I was there. Then I did ATAR agriculture and a Cert 2 in agriculture throughout my study. But I've also grown up visiting farms, having family friends that own farms, as well as working with horses and on an orchard throughout high school as well. So I did have some experience, but not specifically on dairy farms.
So what was it about this type of career that piqued your interest, that you were excited about trying?
Well, I actually ended up on a dairy farm sort of by accident. I was looking for jobs on beef farms and I just saw one for a dairy and I was like, I might as well apply. There's no point not applying. And then, a few days later, I drove 3 hours to go do a trial job interview. And after about 15 minutes of just being in the shed and working with the cows, I realized, this is what I want to do. I want to spend my time with animals and doing this kind of work.
I think we talk a lot about females getting into male-dominated industries, but it also works the other way, where we have males getting into female-dominated industries. And we've got Carey, who is an early childhood educator. Can you tell us how you came to work in this sector?
Yes, I come along a couple of years ago now. I was an electrician to start off with. Once I left school, I had 2 strokes at school and lost all confidence. And once I finished up my electrical side of things, it was in the wild world of COVID, and I was sort of I was jobless for a good couple of weeks, and I went down and helped my parents out just at the childcare centre down the road. I was just a lollipop, the stop-go man at the Christmas concert over Christmas, and once we sort of got the show on the road, I went in and I really found that passion for helping young kids and to see the smiling faces at Christmas time. It's hard not to. It was getting in there and just having a great time with the kids. It was such an enjoyment, and to see the little impacts you could make on them, I found it so easily. It really sparked that passion for me.
You were doing an electrical apprenticeship first, and then have you found your true calling, or did it sort of take a while?
Yeah, I certainly have. I love it. That's my why. My passion is, getting young kids a go, and young disadvantaged kids a fair go. And the centre that I'm at, to be able to turn up day in, day out, and these kids come from all different backgrounds, different diversities, and to see that they've got that safe place here at work and how you can put a smile on their face and watch them grow as young people. It's something that I can't even explain, the feeling inside that you get from it. It's just such an amazing feeling, and I absolutely love it.
So your parents own the childcare centre, but what did other people in your life think, like your mates and stuff like that, about how you were working in early childhood education?
Yeah, well, a lot of my friends, I've got a lot of younger cousins, and I spend a lot of time with my family. I'm very family orientated, and most of my younger cousins actually go to one of the daycares anyway. So they knew what I was like around the kids, and I was a football coach too. Once I had my stroke, so I couldn't play football, and I got into coaching, and that was one of the other big sparks, one of the big turning points in my life that really opened my eyes up to the impact that you can have on these young kids and this next generation. The way you can teach them something and they learn from it and they go and put it into play on the field or, even at home. And it was, like I said, that feeling, my friends, they just, backed me to the hills with it. They just saw the joy and, the confidence that I got back, and being able to do the vet course as well in early childhood really sparked my love of learning again, which is something that, I'm forever grateful for.
So Almira and Lachie, you both found your passions and followed your interests. But Melinda, are there any particular sort of strategies and initiatives that are out there that can really help push or encourage people into sort of breaking down the boundaries or going outside of their comfort zone and finding their true passions?
Yeah, passion is a really interesting one because we don't always know what that is. And I think sometimes navigating that career journey, especially in those early years, there's a lot of expectation that you need to have that all figured out and work out what it is that you want to do. And I think it really needs to be reiterated that as humans, we grow as well. So my 18-year-old self is not going to be the same as my 25-year-old self. And as, Lachie's story very much showed, things can happen in your life which change you, which means that things that you might have enjoyed once or where you thought you were going could change. And I think, Cara, there's some really great initiatives out there from the government at the moment, particularly the free TAFE and being fee-free TAFE. So being able to go and do a TAFE course or a vet course and not have that financial burden, so we can really go in and explore. A lot more of our TAFEs across the country are offering taster programs, micro-credentials, short courses, so you can actually go and try lots of different things before making really long-term career decisions. And I think the most important thing for me, it's not really an initiative, it's just something we need to always keep at the back of our minds, that our career is a marathon, not a sprint. And we don't have to do every single thing at once. You can slow it down a little bit. You can actually enjoy that journey, enjoy those experiences, and realize that you don't have to strive for a particular role. You can be lots of different things along the way as long as you're happy and healthy. And that's the great advantage of living somewhere like Australia, where we have so much access to experience, education and opportunity. It's there if we want it. It is about jumping out of that comfort zone, as you said, sometimes, and giving that a go. And using career counsellors. That's the other thing I just wanted to mention. I think in every other element of our lives, when things aren't going right for us or we feel a bit stuck, we'll seek support, but people often don't look at that in their career. And there are some really great career counsellors and services out there that can support lots of websites and things, as well as great starting points.
How important do you think visibility is to be able to encourage people to test these options, this notion of you can't be what you can't see?
Yeah, and look, it's 100% important. You really can't, and we like to rephrase that and coin that and go, you can only be what you can see, and take that more positive connotation to it, because there is a real power in storytelling and that authenticity of actually seeing people do things that you may have thought, no, I couldn't have seen that. I haven't grown up around that. As Lockie said, he grew up around an environment. Almira, you were there, you saw that environment. Well, I may as well give it a go. If you grew up somewhere else or you didn't have those chance opportunities, you might not have had those interactions. So I think the more we can tell stories, the more that we can do this sort of thing, the more we hear from people, the more that will go, oh, maybe I can, because Lockie just looks like me, Almira looks like me, I could do this. There's no reason why I couldn't, if that's the right role for me, and that's where my passions lie, that's where my values lie, and that's where my skill sets might sit.
Almira, did you have any particular support or role models or anybody in your life that sort of helped you explore these options and the career that you're following?
I've had a lot of different mentors and support people over the years. Even just my friends have been super supportive and really on board with just going out there and trying different things. My teachers back in high school, when I told them that I had gotten a job on a dairy farm, they were all really excited, like all my agriculture teachers. They were like, oh, you have to keep us updated. You have to let us know how it goes. And like my family have been amazing, like with the connection to agriculture that we have anyway, although pretty much all my family work in computers and technology, they were all really on board with the idea of me doing what I wanted to do and what I was passionate about, rather than what was sort of what everyone else was doing in the family. Like my sister joined the military, and agriculture and the Navy are very different, but like my parents supported both of us equally and were equally as happy to let us do our passions and pursue those careers.
That's excellent. Have you found any particular challenges being a female working in this industry?
Probably the biggest challenge I've faced is that I haven't been heard or seen in situations. People don't really want to listen to the teenager who's just working with the calves when it comes to doing things around the farm. And it's just something that I've had to persevere through and just make myself seen, make myself heard, learn what I can to be taken seriously and respected as someone who knows what they're doing.
On the flip side, have there been sort of any advantages or any ways that you sort of felt empowered because you are a female?
I'd say the community, getting to meet other women in agriculture, not just other female dairy farmers, but and other women in trades actually as well, getting to have that base connection with other women in male-dominated industries, getting to meet them at women in agriculture events or women in trade events, and just being able to be, I see you, I know I've gone through that as well, but we're here, we're making our mark, we're earning our place in this industry. It's just been great.
And do you think you've changed at all sort of personally?
Oh, 100%. So I've grown so much more confident over the years, not only because of the training I've done and the stuff I've learned, but also from the opportunities that I've taken part of and I've been given. Being part of the Australian Training Awards, that was incredible. I got to meet so many amazing people over in Canberra, including Lockie. I got the opportunity to hear some amazing stories and just see where different people have come from and how they've been able to shape their own careers, and then being able to take what their life lessons are and put it into play in my own life. And then also, like with the Young Dairy Network, I got to go to Ireland last month to take part of a study tour for dairy, and go there, learn about dairy, and then bring it back and implement it in my day-to-day life on farm. And just getting those opportunities and being able to take any life lessons and any experience I get and implement it into my own life has just been incredible.
Cool. How about you, Lockie? Do you think that you've changed much personally since you've started work in this sector?
When I first started, I had young kids come up to me and they would ask me, are you an adult or are you a kid? They were a bit unsure, that's just the type of person I am. I love to go and, have a fun, have a great time with all the kids. And so I don't know if I've changed too much. In my role as an educator, I've moved up as a room leader now. I certainly know my leadership skills and organisational skills are definitely what they were when I first started. But look, my passion and my goal and my aim has never changed since working from the first day I got there to now. I always want the best for these kids. I want to give them and teach them plenty of things that they can take into their next stage.
How have you found working in a female-dominated environment? Have there been any particular challenges?
As Almira said, you get your challenges everywhere. I've actually really, really enjoyed it. I've got a lot of children at our service that come from a split family, and to be able to work with a male and a female, watching them work together, I feel like is a great example and great role modelling for these young kids that don't get that in their home life.
That sounds like a bit of an advantage too to your kind of work.
Yeah, I think so. I think that there's no two children that are the same. Those sorts of things, how you talk to people, how you interact with people. Those kids, they're like sponges. They pick up on everything, the way you talk, the way you walk, everything. They want to, a lot of them role model like what you do. So that's always, like I've said, my number one goal. You put your best foot forward for these kids and they'll jump on board and they'll follow.
Melinda, can you tell us a bit about sort of how perceptions about things like work conditions and income affect people's choices when they're looking at a career?
Well, I guess at the end of the day, Cara, we need to earn an income to survive. It's the crux of why we actually go to work. If we can enjoy what we do, that's the bonus, but most people need to go to work to earn that income. And I think it's definitely looked at. It's something that I need to look at. And again, I come back to that point, it changes throughout my career. I'm now in my mid-career. I have 2 teenage children. We have financial commitments. I can't accept a job just because it sounds great if it's not going to cover my bills and my mortgage. So I think it is definitely looked at, and I think we have a long way to go. There is obviously a big gender pay gap in a lot of industries, and that's not just in the trades industry. I think across the board, there are differences though that I look at it and go, pay gap is one, but there's also entitlements for men, and they're around parental leave and what their entitlements are, and as wanting to spend time with their children. So I think there's lots of things that are looked at the moment. The fact that we're having conversation is a good thing because it's still being talked about and changes are coming, and there's a lot of great organisations that are really starting to bridge that gap between what is traditional and what actually society demands right now. And that is that equality across things for women, things for men. It should be looked at as what we're all human. So changes are definitely coming, and we would be naive to think that people don't look at things like wages and conditions when considering employment opportunities.
Are there any particular tools that families can use to sort of really gain some insights about the reality of working in all sorts of different industries?
Yeah, look, there are some great websites out there. So you can certainly look at some of the national Skills Week website, some of the events, that's a great way. Going to expos with your children, or as an adult, going to career expos and meeting people all in one place is a great place to start. You're not maybe going to get your answers there, but you're certainly going to find places to start to do that research. If you're in Victoria, there is a service called the Skills and Job Centres, which is a free initiative. They're also in Western Australia. You've got apprenticeship support programs where you can go and learn more about apprenticeships. But I think the most important thing is, particularly as a parent supporting a young person, is to realise the employment market has changed. So you no longer pick that career that you may do for the rest of your life. People do change, and that's okay. So this notion that I've got to do something forever isn't necessarily true, but what is really important that is I'm kept happy and healthy through that workforce. So adjusting with your children, having those conversations, getting them some experience, going to the expos, being involved in those choices and having those conversations, I think are really important. And so is talking about what you do. You know, just simply hearing from Lachlan and Almira today, you can see the passion they have for their roles. And that's not just in the words that they say, that's actually in their body language, it's in their mannerisms. And if your children or anyone looking for a new career can connect that with positive emotions and can look at that and go, that's something that I don't just have to go to work and not enjoy it. I can actually connect it to something that I really like. So websites, internet, that's a great place to start. Services like your TAFEs often have career counsellors, and we've got a lot of employment expos and initiatives like National Skills Week that is a really great place to start that exploration.
Would you say, or what do you say to parents, families, if they've got a child, they're a bit apprehensive or worried or just unsure about a child, a female going to a male-dominated trade or vice versa?
Look, I think the first thing we're trying to move away from is that term dominated, because here we are telling everybody that they're welcome, and dominated has such a negative connotation. So we're really trying to show that it's, yes, they're industries that maybe historically employed more men or historically employed more females, but with the population essentially sitting at 50-50 and the economic market the way it is at the moment, we actually need to look away from male versus female. We actually need to look at who you are as a human. And if we're talking about women coming into the trades, construction, manufacturing industries, you're going to meet some bad eggs, but you're going to meet bad eggs in every industry. The most important thing is that you look for those great people, and most of the industry is and filled with great humans. And one of the best pieces of advice I heard from someone once was, if you're not happy, vote with your feet. So if you are experiencing a negative experience in your career, you don't have to stay. You can vote with your feet and choose to leave and go and find somebody else. So again, yes, negative experiences can happen across your career, but I truly don't believe that's industry specific. I think that's just that there are people who don't operate the way others do, and that's up to you to find where you're happy and where you'll have a well-balanced career.
Lockie, do you have any advice that you have or you would give any other males considering a career in an area, whether it's education or health or anything else like that?
Yes. I've got, at the moment actually, in our centres, across 2 of the centres, we've got 4 male educators. And together, we absolutely, we all stand for the same sorts of things. Like, we really want these kids to be able to be educated, socialise with other children. We want the same sorts of things, and it's fantastic to see, we're all on the same playing field as what everyone is across the board. It's something pretty special that, you can see other males coming in and they just slot straight in. And it's, like we were saying, it's not about whether you're a male or a female. It's the characteristics and the different things you bring to the table on how you can put these forward for these children to benefit.
Is there perhaps one thing that you'd sort of like to change about the industry or public perceptions to make it just the industry more welcoming and inclusive?
Oh, look, I think that the side of things, a lot of media talk about a lot of different things, minority things pop up and they jump on it. I know the last couple of weeks it's been a bit of a challenge as a male educator in this industry. And personally, what I did after the weekend that we had, I went in there first thing in the morning and sat at the front desk, and I welcomed every parent and every child into our centre, into our service. Made sure that when they come in, they knew that, I was here, I'm happy. I'm here talking to you. You know, I'm making you feel like you've got a sense of belonging at this service, which that is our number one priority, is to make sure everyone feels safe, secure, and have that sense of belonging. I'd love for people to come out and see how I work, see how I do things, because I know certainly it would put a bit of a twist on how people perceive a male educator to be.
What is it that you do find the most rewarding about your career so far?
Oh, look, I can't go past, you know, you have that educational side of thing where you teach a child one thing and they might go and try it and it doesn't quite work, but then you keep persisting with it and you watch that child's resilience, how they bounce back from that challenge. And then later on in the week, you see them really excel and really, you know, find their sort of love of learning with different things. I know we've had a child this week, we've been looking a lot on numbers, and this child's gone home and said to their mum, look, I can write up to 10, write number 10. And while she was in the shower, she just wrote with her finger on the steamy shower door, numbers 1 to 10. And to see the parent's reaction and to see that child's self-satisfaction on they've accomplished something, they've achieved something, that's absolutely priceless. So if I could see that all day, every day, which I do, I see it most days, a fair chunk of the day, that's why I love it. That's why I love it. That's my favourite part about it, to see these kids really excelling and for them to, you know, we talk about the step changes. You know, they might start off as a 3 out of 10, but after a couple of weeks, they end up a 5 out of 10. And to watch that progression, that's something that really, really sparks something inside of me that, you know, I absolutely love it.
Almira, what is it that you find particularly rewarding about your career so far?
Just getting to see the animals in their natural habitat, getting to see the cows and the calves just running through the paddocks and playing and just being there and just getting to experience that, and just that breath of fresh air, being outside pretty much all day, every day. Even if it's bucketing down with the rain and my socks are wet, I'm still there. I'm still getting to spend that time with the animals. And it's just so rewarding when the cows actually like come up to me for pats and cuddles. They use me as a scratching post. When the calves come running up, screaming for food, even if they've just been fed. Just being able to spend time with those animals and see them just not only grow, but know you and know everyone on farm and get to know the people that work with them. We wouldn't be anything without our cows. So having them there, having them happy and healthy is just such a nice feeling. And it's just what you want at the end of the day. It was like, some days aren't great. Some days you have some bad days, things go wrong, stuff happens, but just being able to go out to the paddock and spend 15 minutes cuddling cows, cuddling calves is a great way to end the day.
And what would you say, or what do you say to other women who are considering whether it's agriculture or another industry with lots of men in it?
Well, as Melinda mentioned earlier, you are going to have people who don't want you there, people who don't want to see you succeed or advance in your career. It may be your employer, it may be your co-workers. There's going to be someone at some point who doesn't want to help you. And as Melinda said, the best thing you do is remove yourself from that situation, find people and find employment that wants you to succeed, that wants you to upskill and advance in your career, that wants you to get better. And you will find those people. You'll find other women who started off in the same boat as you. They may have had to struggle through different employers and different careers and such to get to where they are now, but they're there, they've made it, and they will help guide you. They will hold your hand, lead the way, and just support you unconditionally.
Melinda looks keen, so I'll throw it to you first. So, Melinda, if there's one message that you'd like to get out there this National Skills Week, what would that be?
That skills aren't just for young people. Skills are for everyone. You can learn them at any time, and it's actually really great to keep growing as a human. So you are never too old or too young to try something new. The only barrier to that is yourself.
Lockie, what would be your key message this National Skills Week that you'd like to share with everybody?
My key message would be to step out of your comfort zone and just have a crack. Okay, it's you versus you. If you think you can do it, go and have a crack, have a go, get out there and have fun doing it.
Almira, do you have a message you'd like to share for National Skills Week?
You'll always find people to support you, no matter where you are. It may be difficult to find them, but they are there. There are people who have been through what you've been through, and they will help you.
Thanks to all our guests for sharing their experiences and wisdom today.
Thanks, Cara.
Thanks, Cara.
Thank you.
If you or someone you know is exploring study or training options or thinking about a career outside of traditional expectations, remember there are so many opportunities waiting. Visit the National Skills Week website for resources, real-life stories and tools to help you or your family explore all the options. Let's break down the barriers and open up the pathways together.